So we decided as casters, like, let's block the schedule. So we'll do all the morning games, you do all the late games. Boom, you come in late, we go home early, we all relax. And it was the first time people were sort of leaving the green room early, which I think kind of was different. And then also that helped the casters, but not the analysts. And as analysts, there was a lot of long days, and Yanko, most notably, was the one that used to like take that out on us as if it was our fault. Like, oh, you guys did this to us by making your schedule better, which wasn't really true. But he kept like making jokes along those lines. And at some point, there's kind of like truth to his resentment in the jokes. So I made a tweet back. He was tweeting out one day like, oh, it must be nice to be a caster, to Henry. And I just tweeted back like, my bubble bath and red wine don't give a fuck, because I'd already left the event. Okay. Which I thought was pretty funny, and Henry thought was hilarious at the time. But it started like an actual. It made the joke sort of like real, like, oh, casters versus analysts in that way, and that was like, that became a huge argument in Cologne when we got back there, because Jason was trying to obviously take the analyst side of it and say like, oh, Matt, you can't do that. And I was like, come on, like, obviously it's a joke. You guys make them all the time. Like, why can't I do it? And we kind of got into it a little bit. And then I stormed out and left. I was like, I'm going home, because we were at a restaurant. And I was like, I'm going to the apartment. I'm not putting up with this. And then that was it. It was a downhill slope from there for the rest of the season. And that was, to me, like when the camaraderie really, really started to die. Like that whole season, like I already said, playing CS with them and being like, I don't want to play with you guys. Like, again, I'm sure everyone has different moments that defined it, but like for me, that was kind of like when it was like, right, this is not going well anymore. At the time, and maybe this was my own, maybe I was wrong, I don't know how to say it. I kind of saw Anders and Semler starting to see us as a threat, that we were coming in and we were actually doing a lot of events, and we were, as I could say it earlier, even if we weren't outskilling them, we could outwork them. And a part of me thought maybe this was a play for them to bid for their relevance still. Not that they were irrelevant, but to keep themselves at the top. And Henry and I kind of talked it over, and we kind of thought like, we don't need to do this. Even if it is the best intentions in the world, we don't have to sign up for this to like preserve our career. So we hummed and hawed over it. There was a number of other factors that came in. Twitch wanted to do a bunch more retainer deals, but then YouTube came in and tore that apart. Face It signing with YouTube was the final catalyst in that, because they had already lost EPL, and it didn't work out. And that to me was the end of it entirely. We just said, nope, we're not doing it. And that was a little bit later than already leaving Jason, but that was what really forced the hand of Room on Fire to do a lot of the tri-casts with Jason, because they didn't want to leave him hanging. He did a lot of analyst work. Only now has he gone back to casting, which is what he, I think, deep down wanted to do the whole time. So it was, I don't know, like maybe for them, they might resent me partly for that, because I think more than anything, Henry just trusted my decision on it. But I don't know, I just had a gut instinct that it wasn't, and I could have been wrong. Maybe it was the greatest thing we ever could have done as a group, but I wasn't comfortable with it at the time. And maybe that all stemmed back to my relationship with Semler, and maybe somewhere deep down it was more personal than it was logical, despite me explaining my logic on it. I don't know, but we didn't go down that road, and that was kind of the end of it. That was when it was every duo for themselves at that point on.
One of the moments that kind of foreshadowed the eventual departure from League of Legends, going into another game, was obviously this moment where you, Monty, and Papa Smithy all publicly came out and basically said, like, we've declined Riot's offer. I think it was for MSI. And, you know, the reasons why are, we've looked around the industry, we've investigated what the industry standard rates are. We don't feel as though they're offering like appropriate rates for the game. And so basically we're going to make a public stand that we're not just going to turn it down. We're going to sort of let people know why we're doing this. Now, that might sound, if you're just an average fan, like, yeah, that's what you should do. You know, that's a great move. Like in a movie, that's a great scene. That's like the guy's like standing up for what he believes in. What people don't know is, if you work in this industry, and especially in League of Legends, people basically behind the scenes will almost always advise you, don't speak out against Riot. Don't say things like that could jeopardize your career. The phrase burning bridges will be thrown around a lot. When this move actually took place, like, listen, I could totally see this. This is in line with Monty's personality. He would do this in many scenarios. But you and Papa Smithy, you know, you're thought of as more the sensible boys, or they're not quite as abrasive characters. So was it a big moment to do this? Did you worry about what the implications could be for your career?
Not really, honestly, because we knew that our jobs were secured. That even if like Riot somehow kicked us out of League of Legends completely, there would always be more games to do at OGN. So I wasn't worried about my esports career in general. I realized I was putting my League of Legends career on the line at the time, because again, this was pre-Overwatch. And you know, I never did an international event for Riot Games again, but that's besides the point. But yeah, we're definitely comfortable, and from where I was at, in, you know, pretty rural Minnesota, not rural, but like 50,000 people, is a pretty small town, to now it's such a big difference. And there was a time in Korea where I had like literally $0, because I was working for GOM TV at the time, and I was making about approximately like $120 in equivalent Korean money per broadcast, but I would only do maybe like 1 a week or 2 a week. And so there, you know, you're really struggling financially there. And there was a time where I would like wait for people to make rice in the rice cooker at the GOM house where I was living with a bunch of pros. And then I would eat the leftover rice with soy sauce, and that would be like my lunch. And I would just tell everybody I really liked how it tasted. But I couldn't.
So you want to big guy you are, do I? You even spun that as a great meal.
It was like, oh man, I just love rice. Soy sauce, so tasty and fulfilling. But and then I would steal change from the change jar to go and buy kimbap, which is this little rice, seaweed rice wrap.
It's pretty much the cheapest food you could buy, right?
Yeah, there was a point in time where I had a jar of peanut butter, and my meals would be leftover rice with soy sauce, kimbap when I would have the change, and then I would have a spoonful of peanut butter for protein, and then I would go and cast. And it, you know, obviously it was tough from a financial perspective, but we were having so much fun that like it didn't even feel as hard as it sounds. Like that sounds like an awful situation, right, to be in. And objectively, from a dollars and cents situation, it was an awful situation to be in. But I was having so much fun, like hanging out with those guys in Korea and casting StarCraft, that like it was hard to care. You know, I was having the time of my life. So,
and then Flash won so many ASLs. They actually. Africa TV, like, there's this amazing interview that was on Team Liquid where they interviewed Flash about it, because he was winning so many ASLs. Like, he has like a winning record on ASLs, right? Like, there's one thing to have a winning match record, but there's one to be like, oh, when I enter ASL, I win more than half the time. Okay, that's stupid. That doesn't even make sense. There's so many high-end players, but like, he was so good in winning so many of them and destroying the tournament so hard that Africa TV started making maps that Thorin couldn't win on, to the point where there's an interview on Team Liquid where like he literally was like, I wasn't feeling that much motivation, but when I see these maps, I can tell they don't want me to win, so now I'm gonna really try. And like, he did end up just barely losing the best Protoss versus Terran player in the world 2-3 in the round of 8, that tournament, where it was like the maps, dude, if I recall correctly, I think no Terrans won any maps against non-Terrans except Flash. It was something like that. That's how absurd it was. It was just like the most imbalanced map season that I've ever seen. But he won, and then even after that season, he like took a season off, then he came back, won another season, and then he's like, you know what? Okay, wait, I got to give you something before this. He started playing the other races a little bit, and so he was number 1 on ladder with his Terran, and he was number 7 on ladder with his Protoss, and he had the second highest win rate of all Protoss players. Okay, so this is starting to get a little bit freaky. Then he says he's going to play random in ASL. Okay.
If people don't know, that's impossible. You can't do that in modern StarCraft.
No one can do that. No. Like when you play random, like if I play a Pro Gamers Off race, I can beat them a good amount of the time, being like a 40-year-old guy with 4 kids. Like, you know, but Flash is so good that he played random, and there's all these reaction videos that were made because what happens is the matches stream on Africa TV, and all the pro gamers restream them and kind of have their own. They're like, oh, wow, and like talking about it. And so there's all these things of players that are of the race that Flash is playing in his random game, because he went and he played random. Okay, he got top 4. He got top 4 with random in ASL, the hardest tournament that there is. And like, he's destroying people. Like, he beat Rush, who's been to 2 ASL finals now, with every race. He 3-0'd him, one with each race. It's like, what are we even looking at here? It doesn't even compute what Flash is capable of. And there's all these clips of the pros from other races just like jaws dropping. They're like, how does he even know that? This is like secret tech. I remember Queen, AK Zero, like he's won like he's won 2 ASLs. He's been top 4 like 3 times. And he's like, how does he even know that? Like, how does he even know to do this thing in Zerg vs. Zerg on this map? And like, there's been all these clips that have been translated and stuff where people are saying like, oh man, like if Flash played my race would be so much better. Like everyone, no matter who you ask, because I've talked to the pros and stuff, I've interviewed them in various capacities and whatnot. Every single player is like, they won't even compare themselves to Flash if you ask them to, because they're like, no, he's God. He's just God. He's better. No matter what race he plays, like if he takes anything seriously, he's just the best at it. So like I literally, I can't even do it justice. Like how good he is. When I see people like, what's the greatest esports player of all time? Everyone's like, oh, it's Faker. It's like, no, it's not. It's actually Flash. And then you talk about whatever you want, but it's actually Flash.
And also, by the way, the quantum state of being you have to exist in. Putin is a madman, and Russia have invaded a sovereign nation. Now, here is the US government, still never atoned for the war crimes committed in Iraq and Afghanistan. God bless them. Sign up today. Go to www.fuckingwarcriminals.com and fill in the form. Like, how do you operate in a world so insane? So there's no way to operate. The best thing to do, unfortunately, if you want to work in esports, and Frank, he learned this the hard way, and I've had other friends learn it the hard way, and I think people are starting to learn the hard way. If you want to work in esports, understand what you are working with, and what you will be doing, and what it's all for, and what the goals are. And if you still want to continue to do that, just shut the fuck up, never talk about anything ever again, because if you ever want to present yourself as righteous, you cannot work in this industry and be righteous, or rather the type of work that you're doing. Like for me, I'm not even in esports now. I am like tangential to it. I am on the sidelines, like looking over in disgust. I don't work events anymore. Who could I work for, right? Who could I work for and cash the check and say what I'm saying to you now? I couldn't. I'd be exactly like everybody else. I would have to come out, do the mea culpa. I'm sorry, guys. I just need the money. I'm so washed up. I'll put a fucking bullet in my head. Like if the bank account ever gets to 0 and there is just no money coming in, it's just fucking all right. Lights out. Like fine. But like at the end of the day, I'm letting so much money slip through my fingers to have this stance, but I don't begrudge anybody like that I know for taking it, because more often than not, the people who are taking it sort of understand what I'm saying, that it's not great money to take. You've got to, but you have to set your own rules. The way Twitter works is it's almost like a neural network or something, where it's like anybody sees your tweet, anybody can give you a real-time reaction to it. And the problem there is like the reactions by and large don't hurt my feelings. So I'm still a little bit like, yeah, that's not harm, grow up. It's what comes with it. It's the shit that goes in your DMs. It's having to stay up all night because someone's trying to hack your emails, hack your Twitter, hack your fucking Facebook, whatever it is. It's people trying to dox you. It's people threatening you. It's people then seeing that you're the bad guy today, and then they go after people you care about. Dude, I haven't been able to talk about any person in my life publicly for about 10 years. With the exception of Maria when we lived together. And by the way, people ever want to know how bad it can get, understand that while I was at my lowest ebb, borderline fucking suicidal, I remember you tweeting this. I did a story, I think, about Nip. I was trying to slowly and steadily getting back on the horse. I did a story about NIP, and an NIP fan who was a grown man, a teacher that worked with children, said because I had written hateful things about NIP, I needed to be investigated immediately for the murder of my best friend who I just loved with all my fucking heart, and publicly put that out into the world. Now, what am I meant to do with that? What am I meant to do with the reaction to that? What am I meant to do with people saying that and thinking that about me?
Bringing on Mickey was interesting. He didn't arrive until like halfway to the split. And I'd heard a lot of things about Mickey and how he was toxic and stuff. And I will say there was a few fires. Me and him had a huge argument. He also had an issue with Excel where his girlfriend was supposed to come over when he first arrived. And Excel was going to pay for it and pay for the Airbnb and let them stay there. And then XL randomly after a few weeks said, no, we're not going to pay for the Airbnb. And Mickey fucking lost it and thought his girlfriend wasn't going to go over. He was going to tell him to fuck off. He wasn't going to play. So there was a lot of drama there. The house we were in was horrible. No one was looking after it. We had like no manager. It was basically just like 5 degenerate gamers with a different coach every 3 weeks trying to survive. And I remember really well, I won't say who it was, but we had a coach at the time. And we were watching a game backstage. This was an hour before our game. And this was another best of one. If we won this best of one against, I think it was like a mid-tier team, we would be in playoffs. But for some reason, one of the coaches is watching this game because we can see it in the studio 1 hour before. I think it was like Wunder on Yorick or something. And he's like 1v2ing a gank. And Expect didn't like Yorick that much, I think, and didn't want to play it. And he had like this set opinion that it wasn't a good champ and he wants to play something else. I think this was how it went. And he was like, wow, look at this Yorick. He's so good, like taunting Expect. Like, Yorick is so OP. Why can't we play Yorick? Imagine if our top laner could play Yorick. And Expect was like, you can't really piss Expect off. But he was like, hey, that's so funny. You guys joking, like in his broken English. Please stop. Like, I want to focus on our game. And the coach just kept going and going and going. Like, oh, Yorick, look, what if we B1 Yorick and just don't tell Expect? La, 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 la. And then Expect like screamed and like grabbed his water bottle and threw it at the wall and said like, shut the fuck up, and started screaming in Korean and slammed the door. And now we're playing in like 40 minutes in our best of one. Like, okay. What has my coach done to my top laner, man?
Like, destroyed his mental completely.
Yeah, and he like, it wasn't just anger, like he flicked. And I could see him, I went to find him like 50 minutes later and he was like shaking, his face was red, like he was proper, like absolutely enraged. And I was like, we need to focus on this game. This is like week 3. Just like, please, I just need you to calm down. Like, we can beat this team. We're really good. Like, don't let this get in your head. I was trying to give him as much pep talks as possible. He slowly calmed down. And then he grabbed the Red Bull, I remember. He like undid the Red Bull, downed the whole thing in about 5 seconds.
Then he's going to crash halfway through the game already.
He just scrunched the Red Bull, threw it on the fucking floor, went on the stage. Even more jitters. I could see him shaking in draft.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, we're so fucked. Like, what the hell are we doing, man? And then, of course, we lost the game. But that relationship took like a week to fix. And it's just things like this where if people could just shut the fuck up and just focus on themselves for one day, like if you have a problem with this pick or whatever, just sort it out on a Monday or a Tuesday, man. Like, why are you doing this 1 hour before we have to play fucking Vitality or something? Like, please. We can beat this team.
You know, I'm always rep my set, and the people who've got my back are the following people who support my videos: Matt Pugnatio, Rajcula, Jasun, Jensen Goh, Tosh, Toucan, and you know, the all-time ride or die, Jerky's minion, isn't it? Special thanks to him. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? Want to find out who the upcoming interview subjects are? Do you want to take part in one of those long discussions with me where you set the topics? Maybe you want to ask me a question for my video AMA? Well, all of those perks and more are available where? At the Patreon link in the description box below. So put your money where your mouth is and join the Scroominati today. You dig?